Hi, my name is Dr. Christina O'Flaherty. I'm a clinical psychologist and psychotherapist, and I'm doing a video to guide you through a really simple but effective way to deal with tough feelings. And I call it compassionate suffering because what we're doing is allowing painful feelings to come in and working with them in a compassionate and skillful way. So really simple. You first just need a quiet spot where you can sit up nice and straight with a straight spine and have your feet flat on the floor. And you can close your eyes, or you can find a spot just a few feet out from where you're sitting. Let your vision just get nice and soft and fuzzy, not focusing too hard on any one thing. And we begin and end the technique by focusing in on the breath. So just letting your attention sort of ride your inhales and exhales, not changing your breath, just bringing your attention to it. Now you might experience your breath most in your nostrils as the air flows in and out. Or maybe you notice it more in the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. And next, just notice what's present for you. Notice what feeling is there, and we name it. And it's a really simple thing to do, but actually it sort of shifts us from one part of the brain, the part of the brain that's in charge of feelings and emotions and the fight or flight response. And naming it takes us to a higher order function of the brain that deals with empathy and compassion and gives us a little bit of perspective, a little bit of a buffer from our feelings. So we're naming either anger or anxiety or sadness or disappointment, just naming what's there. Next, notice where this feeling takes up residence in your body. Where does the anxiety sit? Where does it live? Where is the sadness? Where is the feeling that's present? Where is it embodied in you? I'm just going to get curious about that, like we're observing this emotional phenomenon, like we're a scientist. We're not judging, we're not doing anything with it, we're just allowing and noticing. Now, as you're sitting with this feeling, you might notice that your mind begins to drift off to some stories about the feeling itself, about the situation that brought on the feeling for you. And these are usually pretty familiar stories that come from maybe a long time ago, or come from something you've heard about yourself, or something that you commonly tell yourself about yourself. You want to notice what role you're in here in this story. Just noticing, are you the bad guy? Are you the victim? Just noticing what you're telling yourself about this. Often these stories really don't have a lot of basis in reality or fact, or they simply just don't serve our well-being. They're not helpful. And so by drawing our attention to them, we get to a place where we can say, oh, there's that story again. Yeah, and noticing that that story tends to kind of stoke the emotional fire, kind of doesn't let you let go of the feeling or the suffering. It keeps it going, it perpetuates it. So returning to the breath, we drop the story. And we can do this over and over and over again. Our breath is always available, always accessible, which makes it a really useful place to find space. And next we're going to sort of find some compassion for ourselves in this suffering that's occurring. Some people find it useful to put your hand on your heart and to say something like, I'm sorry, or this hurts. And that might seem like a really silly thing to do, might seem sort of hokey, but actually it does something. It gives us something, some validation that it actually helps when we're interacting with other people to feel that we have something that we can give ourselves. We don't necessarily need someone else to fill us up or to help us with our feelings. We can kind of offer ourselves something in that way. So we're approaching people with a sense that we have something that we need, and that can be really useful. So it's also different than self-pity. So we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. We're recognizing the suffering. We're also noticing that the suffering is hooked into something larger than just us. It's not unique to us or to oneself. It's something that every single person on this earth at some point or another experiences and suffers with. It is part of our collective human experience. So not only are we finding some compassion for it and validating it within ourselves, but we're also making it a part of something bigger and broader than just us. And this is the way that we find some space from it, so that we have a choice about how we respond to it. We're not reacting, we're giving it a little bit of space between what we're experiencing and how we choose and decide to respond to it. So after offering that self-compassion, we're just going to return to the breath again, letting go of any thoughts, any stories, and any judgment. And again, this takes some practice and some effort, but it's really useful and practical. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you find it helpful.